Paulie here on the Latino Slant. 2 new videos Monday through Saturday just for you guys. Watch our videos, like them, and if you dig them, share them. We're glad that you guys are here. Give us the cliff notes of this deal, sir.
Well, I mean, for those who don't know the full story, so the Writers Guild went on strike on May 2nd, and we've been on strike for 148 days, which is the second longest strike. I think 154 days back in like the late 80s was the last record. We came sadly very close to that record. So that's essentially 5 months. This time I was in the middle of working on projects, especially a major TV project that I'm developing, and these were paying gigs, and they were all put on hold. And so suddenly I was like, well, it's literally like you're working a job and now you can't get your paycheck, right? And so it was hard. And then shortly thereafter, the SAG-AFTRA struck, so either actors were striking. So that's the context of it. But so I mean, there's a lot to talk about on this thing here. There's a lot of good stuff that we got here. I think there's a lot of important increases in sort of the minimums of what you can get paid. One of the most what's actually very important is stuff that a lot of people aren't talking about, because in any negotiation, even after strike, you get minimums increases. They're quite substantial this time, but they're some of the more interesting things that not everyone's talking about that were necessary. I have a lot of feature screenwriter friends who work primarily in movies and not in television, and they felt for quite a few years that they have been ignored by the guild, that whenever a negotiation happens, their issues are the least important because the television guys are bringing in the most money, right? Or at least have the most power in TV. And so, but thankfully in this round, one of the important gains, I believe, is that now it's been codified that you can get that. Let's say I sell a script. I sell a script tomorrow. Paramount buys my movie script, right? And usually with that comes, you get to write one rewrite, and often that's just a quick do the rewrite. They don't even look at it. And I've been in that position where Warner Brothers bought a movie script of mine, and then they gave me the one rewrite, and they literally, the day I handed in the rewrite, within about 5 seconds of me emailing the rewrite, they're like, well, thank you very much for doing that. We're already looking for more famous writers than you to do a rewrite, right? They didn't even bother to do the rewrite. That was just a formal thing. Here's take it and go, right? Which that's the game until you become that more famous writer that they're all turning to and hoping that the rewrite will be even more brilliant, right? Whatever. By the way, nobody ever rewrote my script and it still sits there in Warner Brothers, right? They couldn't find anyone for doing it better, but whatever. But the victory that the feature writers got this time, which is quite significant, is that they're guaranteed a second rewrite step. So it's not just, okay, I bought the script, fine, we'll give you all right, go do a quick pass on it. Here's a little bit of money, and now see you later, sucker, right? Now the studios are obligated. Okay, they actually have to take that seriously because now they're obligated to pay you for yet another step. So they actually have to read it. They have to read your script. They have the rewrite. Then they have to give you notes on that, and then you get a second try, and you get more money from that.
I think at the end of the day, it's better for creativity and for the audience because you get that original voice for a second round. Because a lot of times, what Kamran says, a lot of times Hollywood just buys people off, man, and then they just want to give it to writers that in their compound, in their corral, that are just yes men, and which is why we get a lot of garbage television and films lately. So this is great, Kamran.
Another good thing and I'm grateful that they responded, because people have been saying you're ignoring the movie writers for years now, and every previous negotiation for almost 20 years now has been ignoring the movie writers. And we're talking, people are making Oscar-winning movies, making $3 million a script, and they're not influential enough to get what they need. I mean, it's silly. But the other thing that's been addressed, that I have quite a few friends in this situation, is writing teams. So this is writing teams exist in movies and in television. What it is I write by myself. When I'm working on a TV show, I write in a room of writers. But a writing team is actually two people who are partners split one paycheck. So let's say I get $100 for something. A writing team is two people coming in, and they're going to split. It's not they're getting $100 each. They're going to get $100, and they're going to split it 50-50, right? And so, the benefit on many television shows is people love to have writing teams because you're paying the same amount that you would get for hiring one person, but you're getting two minds, right? And you're getting two people, and it often can be like on a TV show, one of them is working on the rewrite of the episode 6, and the other one goes to the set, right? Because there's two people in the group, and they're still just sharing one paycheck. So, these people are in many ways the unsung heroes of writers, these writing teams. And they've often had their issues ignored as well, because they don't have the same leverage, because it's two people sharing one paycheck. They don't have the same economic leverage. But again, to the credit of this current agreement, this new agreement increases the health and pension contributions specifically for writing teams, right? And so this actually gives them better health and pension return, right? So that's great for them. Instead of essentially before, you have to reach certain minimums to get your health insurance or whatever, right? And if you're splitting your income in half, sometimes you in a bad year, each of you doesn't make your minimum, and so you might lose your health insurance. Now you're being treated as one entity for those minimums and things like that. So suddenly you as a group now can actually achieve your health and pension contributions, right? Which is so, I mean, imagine these things were being ignored. People who are already the unsung heroes of the system are being treated so poorly that they could lose health insurance for taking on that role of being a partner with somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully that was addressed, right? Well, so I'll say this. I'm happy with the final deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy with the process by which we got it. I'm of the opinion that we could have gotten this deal a month ago. We can talk about that over the course of when we talk about process, of what happened in the process
Sure.
of this. And the things that delayed the conclusion of the deal, I think that we ended up getting nothing significant that held up the deal to achieve these other wonderful things. So that is where my critique is.
You're basically saying you had the deal over a month ago.
We could have had the deal because
we could have had it. So you're talking about the leadership. So,
well, I mean, look, let's talk about the great stuff here. So we've got the foreign streaming residuals. So they've increased essentially by 76%. At least that's how the guild estimates it, right? So an example that it gives that Netflix's 3-year foreign residual under the new formula would go from $18,684 for 1 hour episode to $32,830 for the same thing. So that, I mean, residuals, royalties are how most of us get by. That's how actors get by, right? It's how most of us who are creative people.
100%.
Mm-hmm. You got grumblers saying, "Well, why should we be paid a second time?" And when as a guy will say, "You don't pay your plumber every time you flush the toilet." I'm like, with all respect to plumbers, and we don't have plumbers. The world's a really disgusting place. So with all respect to them, right? It's a different aspect of it, right?
Totally different part of the game. Absolutely.
And right. Because there is something, we don't blink. Nobody blinks when you think about the fact that J.K. Rowling gets royalties for this novel she created, right?
Sure.
I mean, she's a billionaire from the royalties of these books, right? She's a billionaire from the royalties. Nobody asks nobody questions that Stephen King is worth $400-500 million from the royalties of his book. Every time you buy a copy of a Stephen King novel, he's getting a few cents out of that, and millions of people are buying them. It adds up, right? And so nobody questions that, nor should they, right?
Absolutely.
So those are the things that we as a society have never questioned. We don't even think about it, right? We think it's just desserts. Then people say, well, Hollywood, why should you get residuals? You need a crew to make your movie. I'm like, well, you need a crew to make your play. So that doesn't mean anything, right? But so now the fundamental thing of what royalties is that people who create from scratch are taking an incredible risk. A risk that mostly fails, that doesn't pay off. Most creative people spend most of their life struggling, right?
Yeah.
To get by. And we're talking about creative people who are good at it. I'm not talking about people who don't know what they're doing and you're like, maybe you should get another job, buddy, right? People who actually have something of value to offer to the world, most of the time it don't work out for them because society ain't ready for it. They don't have the proper way to get people to know about it. It's just bad luck. I mean, that's the case for a majority of artists. Majority of actors, talented actors, just struggle and they're trying to get the career they deserve. I mean, you see that, Romy, thankfully, is a solid career, but people around her, I'm sure you're like, this person deserves an even better career, but they're trying to make it happen.